Hey, how's it going, class? Welcome back. In this section, we're going to talk about conducting a competitive analysis for your concept, your idea, your product, your service. So let's start. First thing you're going to do before you can conduct any sort of competitive analysis is make sure you're focused in on an individual who demonstrates the pain that you're looking to solve. So we call this a customer archetype, and I'll provide some readings and some other materials for you to learn a little bit more about customer archetype in the class Blackboard shell. But customer archetypes are absolutely key in that when you do your competitive analysis, you're always doing that looking through the lens of your initial user or payer, aka your customer. So keep in mind, as I'm saying customer can actually be two different well, in some cases, several different actors within that umbrella of customer. Most often, it's broken into user or payer or user and payer together. So to give you a very quick example of that, a customer for Google, is both a user and a payer. We are the users of Google, but we don't pay. The advertisers pay. So in Google's business model, they have to be very cognizant of the user value proposition, you and I, as well as the advertiser value proposition. That's where they make their money in terms of serving up advertising as we surf the web, right? So that's an example of a bifurcated customer archetype where you have to be equally concerned about the user and the payer. But in other cases, let's just say kind of in a retail environment, if I want to go out and buy a new, looking around the room, a coffee mug, right? I'm both the user and the payer. So when I'm kind of searching around for the best coffee mug to solve my pain point of drinking coffee effectively, horrible example, I apologize. The seller or the producer of that coffee mug is able to kind of identify me potentially as an archetype as both the user and the payer. So when I say customer, I'm actually talking about potentially several actors under that umbrella. So you and your team are going to need to discuss, do we need to competitively analyze the landscape for a single user payer or both the user who maybe gets access to our product or service for free, and then a payer who subsidizes that activity off to the side. So anyway, we've got to start with an archetype. And an archetype is basically your first customer. Who is the very first person that's either going to use or pay or pay for your proposed solution? So here, let me introduce you to this gal. I don't know her name, but let's call her Sarah, right? So this would be a great example for you all to have. Identify, take a photo, find a photo, who is super stoked or excited about the innovation that your team is wrestling around with. You need to put a face and a name to that first user / payer. In this case, it's Sarah, right? I don't know if it's Sarah, but here she is standing on, for those of you that have never been with us here in Tempe, this is Mill Avenue. This is the main drag of campus. And Sarah is super excited about this proposed app that she's holding. Look at that MVP. Again, we go back to this idea of not can we build it, but should we build it? So this team was asking the question, should we even attempt to write the code for this app? And Sarah was basically saying, yes, if you create this app next week or a month from now or even a year from now, I'm going to be the first one to download it and pay you $9.99 to have access to this. So we're not going to get into the weeds of this example of what the pain point was and why she was so excited. But in order to do an effective competitive analysis, it's absolutely key that you start with a customer archetype, aka this user and or payer. What is their pain point and why are they so excited about the 10x improvement that your innovation is bringing into their lives? Once you do that, then you can get into the mind of that singular archetype. And then I, as someone listening to your proposed solution or your proposed go-to-market strategy, can then make the leap from Sarah to a much broader audience. So as you're describing a competitive analysis to me and to Eli and to other people that care about what you're working on and why you should be working on it with our resources and with our time and our money and our attention, where does Sarah look to solve this pain point. So, sorry, I'm a little sarcastic here on my slide, but let me Google that for you, right? So I don't know if you've heard this saying, but it's, in the world of IT, it's like, did you think to Google that first, right? So if I'm wanting to solve any particular pain point, a great first place to go is to type in a few keywords on Google and see what pops up, right? And in many cases, the solution that your team has come up with at this point might already exist in some similar fashion or form. That's okay. That's okay. But keep in mind, as you go throughout this course, if you haven't done a thorough search of similar solutions to an existing pain, somebody else is going to do it on the fly. As you're presenting in this course what it is that you're working on and all the hard work that you've put into solving a problem, I can almost guarantee you that myself or Eli or one of our TAs or an investor that might take a look at your particular pitch is going to be doing a quick Google search. I've done this countless times where a team has said, oh yeah, we've come up with this breakthrough app or solution or product or service or whatever it is. Nobody's ever thought about this before. Google, type in keyword related to your innovation and 10 things pop up. You didn't Google that? So let me Google that for you. Better yet, you Google it yourself. See what else is out there, and that's fine. If other things exist, that's not a killer. You just need to figure out how your features and benefits are better, faster, and cheaper than what's currently on the market, and why Sarah is bypassing those other top results in Google. And I'm just using that. Maybe your product isn't something that she would shop for on Google, but why is Sarah bypassing what's currently available to her to go to you guys? I need to understand that crystal clear. I need to understand what separates you from the other options that currently exist on the market. And if there's a bunch of them, that's fine. You've just got to be better, faster, or cheaper in some way. You've got to have some unique value proposition. Again, this is courses, entrepreneurship and value creation. What is the value that your team is innovating and creating in order to make Sarah's life better than what she's currently dealing with? So remember, your number one competitor, like we get this all the time as well. Oh yeah, we did the Google search. Great news. We have no competition. There's nobody else out there that has thought of this brilliant light bulb moment. To me and Eli, that's a huge red flag. The fact that you have no competition tells me immediately the problem you're trying to address probably doesn't exist at all. Or if it does, people are totally fine dealing with that problem in the old standby way that they've been dealing with it for eternity, right? So can think of countless examples of this, but be very wary of identifying a solution that when you go look for it on the internet or doing a literature review or going on to Google Patent, that's a great resource as well. If you do the drop down on Google, there's a section for searching patents. If that patented product, if the patent already exists, but you can't find it on Amazon anywhere, that's a problem because that tells me that nobody wanted it in the first place. So somebody went through a lot of trouble to produce that product only to find out that there was no ability to match that product with a market demand. Now you can do it. You just need to do it through the lens of Sarah. You need to convince us that you've collected enough evidence, enough data, without going through the trouble of building out a high fidelity product that's manufactured or mass produced to show me with pure data that, hey, there is a demand for this and Sarah is willing to give us her email address. She's willing to prepay. She's willing to do all these things. So when you tell me about all of the other products that currently exist on the market, you're telling me about the 3 features that Sarah cares most about. Magic number 3. Whenever you're presenting this competitive analysis, limit who you're introducing, aka your competitors, and one of them can be the status quo. This is how Sarah currently solves this problem, but for whatever reason, that current way stinks for these 3 reasons. And this is what we bring to the table that's better, faster, cheaper. So in this case, this is one of the startups that gave me permission to share their slide. Very simple competitive analysis. There's a lot of different ways you can illustrate your competitive advantage with different layouts on a slide like this. But generally, as you can see here, the 3 features that Sarah cared most about, and I know there's a difference between the app example and the example here, but using Sarah again, she cares most about package safety, then about having accessibility via extended hours, and then the convenience of maybe going to a certain location over another location. So those are what she's telling you she's most concerned about. When she goes onto Google and looks for a solution for that particular problem, these are the things she considers. But she's willing to choose you all because you do all three and the competition can only hit 1 or 2 or 0. So you need to always look through the lens of your competitive analysis through Sarah's eyes, not your eyes, because you're biased. And I don't believe you. You need to come with evidence that is not your made up fantasy world of, oh yeah, just give me $1,000 or 10,000 or $1 million. And once we build this, then of course Sarah's going to come by from, I'm not going to believe that. What I want to see is evidence to support that Sarah is indicating, if you can do these 3 things for you, I'm going to go ahead and give you cash right up front. And we're going to talk about that in my next module, traction. So anyway, this is competitive analysis. It always starts with an archetype. An archetype represents a larger, what we call a beachhead market, or a larger market segment. We always start with an individual. That should make it easy for you. So you need to describe who that first customer is and why he or she is eager to pick you over whatever other options might exist to scratch that itch. All right, so let's do it.